Hey everyone, welcome back to the Visions podcast. I'm joined by Jason Caceres. Jason, it's great to have you here today. Hope you're doing okay.
I am. Thanks for having me. I'm really excited about this one.
I always start by asking every guest to introduce themselves a little bit, give them a brief background to themselves as well. So, the floor is yours.
Oh, I never know what to say. My name is Jason Caceres. I am Cuban American. I am an actor. Sometimes I model on the side for fun. And I've been working on predominantly a lot of verticals lately. I work a lot in the indie LGBTQ space also. So I do a lot of like gay web series and short films. Um, and I went to school for theater.
Nice. So, I read that you were creative from very young. Think you started drawing at 5 years old, was it?
I did. So my mom's mentality was to keep me and my brother as busy as possible. Uh, just, I don't know if it was to make her life easier, but she had us in art classes. She put us in the Boy Scouts. We took karate, baseball, literally everything that she could sign us up for, she did. But yeah, I took art classes starting at 5, and it's something that I haven't gone back to in a while. But I used to doodle in school all the time. I had an art piece in a museum in Miami once when I think I was in elementary or middle school. But that was pretty cool. It was like a kids' youth art show, and I was so excited about that.
I also read that you had poems published in like anthology series, books with different poems in.
Yeah, I had two poems published when I was in high school in an anthology of young poets. I actually have them here with me still on my desktop. So I've always kind of been a little bit on the artsy side, I would say.
Was creative always something you wanted to do, or did you want to, after starting so young, did you want to step away from it at some point, or did you always think, yeah, this is for me?
I actually didn't know being creative could be a career when I
Ah,
was
right,
young.
okay,
So they
yeah.
were kind of like hobbies that I would do for fun. And then after you graduate high school, at least here in the States, you have to decide what you want to do with the rest of your life at
Yeah.
18, 17. Uh, and I had no idea what I wanted to do. So I ran the gamut. I was like, I'm going to be a doctor. No, I don't want to do that. I'm going to be a lawyer. No, I don't want to do that either. And then I was like, you know what? I'm pretty good at theater. I like doing it. It keeps me busy. Why not just get a degree in that and we'll see what happens. So it's not something I would say that I sought out as a child to go and do, but it's something that I've always done. And then I had no idea what to pursue in college. So it was like, I'm going to stick with it.
So theatre must be a big part of your life. Still is, but I don't think have you been in many shows? I know one show you've been in, which is Hit the Wall,
Oh, wow. You did do your research.
um, which is part of like the story of Stonewall.
Yeah, it was a play written by Ike Holder. Uh, it was an adaptation of the Stonewall riots. I played a character called Newbie. It premiered at the LGBT Center here in Los Angeles, but it had originally premiered in Chicago, I believe. Um, and I mean, it was my first full production out here in LA. I grew up doing theater, so being able to do that out here professionally was a dream come true. And it was such an important play
Yeah.
also because it's an important part of queer history. So it was nice to be part of that.
So how important was that to you as
Oh
an
God,
LGBT, as part of the LGBTQ community, like me? So
it's so important because I mean, especially now, given everything that's happening,
yeah,
visibility and representation is so important to me, specifically for the queer community, just because a lot of that is being challenged or taken away right now. So it's important to show people that these stories matter, that we have a history, that we've always existed. We're not going anywhere. regardless of other people's actions or beliefs. It's something that exists. It's out there in the world, and we need to show people that um, we're here, and it gets better. And life is so much more than the tragedies we see queer people go through.
Yeah,
That seems to be glorified in mainstream media, and we're so much more than that. We're multifaceted. We have full lives. So to me, it's very important to live truthfully as myself, just to show other people that there is life beyond the initial struggles after
yeah,
coming out.
yeah. So when it comes to like TV work, you've worked with a channel called HereTV and a channel called OutTv.
Yes, yes, both
Yeah,
queer networks. They're streaming sites, I guess, that focus predominantly on LGBTQ plus
yeah,
media.
yeah. So that's important as well, really, isn't it? Because there's not a lot out there, and it's great that we've got two at the moment, two that are predominantly focused on that community.
Yeah, and they're great champions for queer work. They mainly work with queer artists. They elevate queer writers, directors, actors. So it's kind of like a niche market, which I hate to say because we don't want to be niche. We want to
Yeah,
be mainstream. Um, but it's so important to have these platforms for us to share our art with the world.
yeah. So you become known for verticals, but you're also known for the show Open to It.
Yes,
What was
yes.
your first reaction to Princeton, and what made you want to play him?
My first reaction was, this guy's insane. He's crazy. It's well, Princeton is so he plays the third in Open to It,
Yeah.
which is about a couple, a queer couple who's experimenting with opening their relationship up to a possible third person. And Princeton comes in as this chaotic, sassy twink, let's call him, who comes in to just mess things up. Um, and the way it's written was so funny and campy and uh, lacked any sort of tragedy, which is what drew me to the role to begin with. Um, and Princeton was only supposed to be in the first three episodes,
Oh, right. Okay.
but the creator and I became pretty close friends, and I mean, there were so many possibilities of where to take Princeton. He's like, no, we got to keep this character around because the insanity that ensues is off the wall.
Yeah. So he's a Princeton is a bold, funny, sometimes unexpectedly vulnerable. How have you
Yes.
approached his? How have you approached his growth across? Because I think we're in the second season now.
Yeah, the second season just aired. They're in pre-production for the third season. Um, the interesting part about being with the show this long, because I believe it's been 5 years now that we've been shooting the show, is that the creator and writers start to draw from our real lives.
Yeah.
Because we've all become friends, we've vacationed together. So we know a lot about each other's lives. So it doesn't take a lot of work to fall into the character because after the first three episodes, the writers started writing the story arc to kind of match my personality and my life in a way. I won't tell you which parts are real or not because that's a little embarrassing. Um, but he's pretty closely related to who I am as a person when it comes to like the vulnerability, the silliness, the campy attitude where like he doesn't really take anything too seriously when it comes to like matters of the heart or um, relationships, or he kind of is off the cuff, takes things as they come, and lives in the moment. So he's a very emotional character, but he doesn't dwell on the what ifs and the could be's. He kind of lives his life as it comes to him, which is kind of similar to how I live my life. You can't really predict the future, so might as well just live
No,
in the
we can't.
moment,
Definitely.
see what
Yeah.
happens.
Yeah. So Open to It's in its second season. But we've also got is it a movie, Laid Bear, was it?
Laid Bear was a show on OutTv also. It's 8 episodes. It's a queer campy murder mystery, kind of like Agatha Christie-esque, the creator would say. And it's set in a clothing optional resort, so it's a little spicy.
Yeah.
But it was a lot of fun to shoot. We shot that in 9 days in Palm Springs in 112-degree weather.
So that's a darker, more grounded energy, really. What interested you most about the role?
That one was kind of different because the creator I had worked with before on a different show on HereTV called Demon Hunter. So he has known me for I would say almost 10 years. And he's seen me play a lot of characters very similar to Princeton, kind of like
Yeah.
campy, comedic relief, slapstick, sassy. So when he started writing Laid Bare, he approached me with the character of Cassidy and it was like, I wrote a character. I want to see you do something different. I was like, yes, please. Please and thank you. So he wrote it specifically to challenge me as an actor to be a little bit more grounded. I'm not the comedic relief of this show, which is different than anything I've ever done. Um, and he's a little bit more layered, I would say, than the other characters I've played.
Yeah. So looking across the shows like Open to It, Laid Bare, Boy Culture, Generation X, what kinds of queer stories do you feel most excited to be part of right now?
I think queer stories that don't fit the mold are the
Okay.
most exciting to me. So if it has I understand these stories are very important because people still struggle with coming out and we need to show the process and that it is okay afterwards, but I'm more interested in the afterwards part. So storylines that don't center around a character struggling with their identities.
Yeah.
I'm more interested in storylines where the character is struggling with the world around them, instead of accepting who they are and like going through this whole like motion of like mom doesn't love me, dad doesn't love me. We've In my opinion, we've seen it, and yes, they're still important and there's space for that and it's very necessary, but it's also equally as important to show what happens to queer people after they
Yeah.
come out. So giving people kind of like a sneak peek or a glance at what their life could be after coming out, whether it does get better or the struggles that come out after one has like reckoned with their identity.
Yeah.
Uh, that's a little bit more interesting to me because there are so many other issues that come up after. And I say issues not just like, roadblocks and barriers, but also issues of like, how do you find your partner or how do you navigate a relationship or what does a queer job look like? That's a little bit more enticing to me than another coming out story.
Yeah. Coming out stories are done all the time, really, aren't they? There's no
Yeah.
sometimes sometimes things stop after that coming out. They don't carry on with new series or new movies after that coming out. It just stops,
Yeah,
really.
the story
Some stuff.
ends abruptly, and it's like, well, what happens? What happens after? Like, what
Yeah.
what does the character go on to do? Like, does their life change? Do they become a lawyer? Do they become a doctor? Do they become a stripper? It doesn't like it doesn't matter what the story is afterwards. A lot of the times, which is kind of sad because I mean, coming out is a very important, crucial part of every queer person's journey,
Yeah.
but it doesn't end there. So I
No.
want to see what happens after.
So your screen work ranges from queer-led stories, but you've also appeared in shows such as Criminal Minds, Insatiable, and Pam and Tommy. Do you find yourself approaching those worlds differently as a performer?
Absolutely, because they're not based around a queer identity. Uh, as it kind of ties into what ideally I'd want to see in queer media is what happens to this character's life outside of themselves. So those shows focus more on like the drama of the storyline or the interactions between other characters, their relationship to the world around them. So it's a little bit different. I'd say I approach them with, I don't want to say less responsibility because that sounds bad, but they're less precious to me, mainly because there's not a lot of responsibility to represent a community in a
Yeah,
specific way and highlight them. It's more about the story the creator wants to tell, or the when in the case of Pam and Tommy, it was the story of what happened in Pamela Anderson's life, and that took more importance over my own representation of my community.
yeah,
I don't know if any of that made sense.
it did.
Okay, good.
When you think about back to your earlier TV appearances, like Criminal Minds or Insatiable, what do you remember learning from those sets?
Know your lines. Know your lines, show up on time, and respect. Respect for the process, respect for other people's times, because on shows like that, where the budget is insane, there is no real room for error. Everything costs money. So professionalism comes first. You're there to do a job.
Yeah.
So you better be off book. You better be prepared. You better know what you're doing. Um, Show up on time because you're wasting so much money if you're not. Um, yeah, I would say that's my main takeaway is be professional on those sets.
Yeah. Like Criminal Minds is one of my favorite shows. So
Oh my
I
God, that show
s-
was it took me 7 auditions to finally book that show. Yeah. By the time they called me with an offer for the role, I didn't even audition for that role.
All
The
right.
casting called my agent and was like, "We have enough. We've seen him enough times. We're just gonna offer him this role because we have 7 different audition tapes that we've seen."
Yeah.
I think it took 3 years because I booked it in 2016 and I moved to Los Angeles in 2013. So I auditioned for that show for over 3 years, 7 times, and then finally got an offer for it.
Yeah.
So that felt really nice.
Yeah. So you just said you moved in 2013 to LA. What was that feeling like to
Oh
move
my God,
to
I
LA?
cried.
Like,
I cried for like a week straight because I'm Cuban, so Latin families are very family oriented and very
yeah.
close knit. Like I lived at home before I moved out here. I lived at home throughout college. That makes me sound like a mama's boy, which whatever I am. I love my mom. Um, I cried. It was shocking. It was jarring. It I had never been on my own before. So it almost kind of felt like I was swimming in the deep and nobody had taught me how. Because I mean, you come to LA and you don't, I mean, how do you navigate the industry? Like, I don't have any connections. I don't know anybody.
Yeah.
I I don't come from money. So I had to basically start out from scratch and figure out how to do this whole thing, what casting sites to get onto, where do I even get headshots? Like the whole thing was so new. So I cried a lot.
Was there sometimes you thought, is this the greatest of ideas? Or was it always a plan for you to go to LA?
Oh, I
And
still think that. I still wonder if it's a good idea. But I've been here for so long, there's no other option. I have no other marketable skills. So here we are. Yeah, I think it's something I definitely struggled, especially in the earlier years, because I mean, it's tough. Rent is always due on the first, and landlords are not very forgiving. So you got to figure it out. You got to make it work somehow. It's There's one thing that one of my college professors used to say all the time, one of my theater professors, and that was if you can picture yourself doing anything else aside from acting, literally anything else, go do that because artist, struggling actor lifestyle is really, really hard and sometimes really, really lonely because
Yeah.
you're, especially now that everything is online. So auditions are done from home now. You're self-submitting from home. If you book a job, you're on set 12 hours a day for a week, a month. So you don't have a lot of time to go out and make friends or be part of the community or find your tribe. So it's very taxing and lonely sometimes. So yeah, sometimes I still do think, I still wonder if this is a good idea. But luckily, I have a good support group back home and here now.
Yeah.
Um, so my mom's always a phone call away. My partner's a phone call away, and he's here. So it's gotten a lot better.
That's good.
For lack
So
of a better word.
let's move on to vertical dramas.
Yes,
Because a
the
lot of
bird.
this podcast, I have spoken to many vertical actors. My first question for them always is, how did you come across the vertical sphere and how did you get into the vertical space?
So I think my story is I don't know if it's actually that different. I take that back. I don't know if it's that different. I fell into it by accident.
Oh, right.
So
Okay.
there's these casting websites that actors use to submit for jobs, predominantly Actors Access and casting networks. And I have submitted myself almost every day for the past 14, 15 years that I've been out here. Because if you miss a day, you might lose a job.
Yeah.
So I submitted myself to back then, they're separated by categories. So there's like theater, film, television shows, web series, and these projects started popping up called mobisodes back in 2023. So that's what they were initially labeled as.
Yeah.
Like mobisode, I don't know what that is. Sure. It says it pays, so I'm gonna submit an audition.
Yeah.
So I did, and the first one I booked was called The Return, starring Brooke Moultram. So I showed up on set and I was like, it's a mobisode. I guess it's that. I guess that's a web series, right? I think. I don't know. I had never heard of it before. So I show up on set and the cameras are all on their side. And I was like, well, different. I remember texting my partner and I was like, they have the camera on the side. I guess this is for like TikTok or something. I'm not really sure. And then Brooke actually walked me through it because this was her second one. She had done a
Yeah.
werewolf one previously. She's like, no, they're called verticals now. They're like soap operas for your phone. They're about 1 minute long each episode, about 60 to 80 episodes, and you kind of just watch and scroll along. So I was like, huh, that's interesting. So I kept doing them, and then slowly they transitioned from mobisode to vertical series,
Yeah.
and they found their own kind of like niche in media, and then blew up. So I happened to be at the right place at the right time, and I'm still very confused most of the time.
So I think it was last week or 2 weeks ago, you booked your 100th vertical.
Yes, yes.
Congratulations on that.
Thank you. I finished shooting it, I think, 2 weeks ago.
All right, so
Um,
you finished shooting it, which is
yeah.
great. Um,
Oh, I don't know how we got there. That's crazy. Well, I mean, it's been 3 years, but and they move so quickly that they just kind of like add up.
yeah. So I bet you never thought when you had that first experience on vertical drama that you'd get to 100 vertical series.
Never. I just kept watching the numbers add up because I keep track of them on my phone just to, do my little accounting side of the business
Yeah.
and like shows I've been on. And I just kept seeing the numbers add up. And I was like, this is crazy. I remember at around like 83, I was like, should I stop? Will this stop? I'm not sure, but I'm along for the ride. So it's a job.
Yeah.
It pays, and I'm gonna keep doing them because a lot of them are kind of fun to work on, and they're so ridiculous. So they almost fall in line with some of the queer content I do, where it's slapsticky comedy, it's incredibly campy and over the top, melodramatic. Um, so to me, they're fun to work on.
Yeah. So I always say to the actors that I've spoken to, like TV, movies, you've got sometimes months, maybe sometimes days, but vertical dramas are very quick. They are 5 days, 9 days, maybe even shorter than that. How do you find that intensity?
It's definitely overwhelming. You don't get a lot of time to prepare. I have been cast before on verticals the night before they start. So I was cast on one at 11 p.m. the night before, and I had to be on set at like 7 in the morning. So I obviously didn't read the script because I prioritize sleep. And a lot of the times they don't have a finished script until you get to set. So they work very much like soap operas do, where they
Yeah,
shoot 18 to 20 pages a day. You get your sides the day of. Sometimes there's rewrites, and you just have to kind of like be ready to go along with it. It's almost like improv. Um, so you don't get a lot of time to prepare, and you have to kind of be on your toes and ready for anything to change, really.
yeah. So they live really mainly on cliffhangers, momentum, because it's so quick and everyone who's watching them is scrolling through, scrolling through. As an actor, how aware are you of that pacing while you're in a scene?
Oh, incredibly aware. And I mean, the directors do a great job of reminding you. It's almost working on these, it's almost like running a marathon. You're on your feet 12 hours a day, sometimes longer than that if you go overtime. Usually in a suit, in dress shoes. The women are in heels. You don't get a lot of downtime to sit down and rest and prepare for the next scene. So it's almost like a workout. So you have to constantly be moving. Like you said, they end on cliffhangers. So the drama has to be here
Yeah.
every single episode. And the episodes are a minute long. So that means if we're shooting 12 to 18 pages a day, it's, I don't even know, 20 cliffhangers a day that you've got to work up to. And the stakes are always incredibly high. Someone's always like dying or having a baby or, taking over a company or getting slapped. So it's a lot of work. And I am a very sweaty person. So, and especially in a suit under all those lights, it's thank God for makeup powder. That's all I'm going to say. Thank
Do
God
you
for
watch
makeup
yourself
powder.
back?
I do. I do. I've
Yeah.
seen a few of the clips back and I'm like, that person is insane. There's one that I was in called The Scent That Made Him Mine. And I've had to slap this poor girl. Not for real. Obviously, it's acting.
Yeah.
I think in the series itself, maybe like 8 to 10 times, but in real life, we're shooting it from different angles. We're getting multiple takes. This poor girl, I mean, I don't know how she didn't have a neck injury, but she was just doing this all day. I'm like, I am so sorry. And then I watched it back and I'm like, this character is unhinged. Who is going around slapping women like this? This is crazy. Uh, but I find myself getting hooked and watching the whole series, and I'm like, oh no, I've been sucked in.
So do you look back at some performances and think, I remember doing that, or I don't remember doing that? Yeah. Does
Oh,
that?
absolutely. Especially after 100, I'm like, I was in that. I feel like that famous Gwyneth Paltrow interview where she's like, I wasn't in Avengers.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, yeah, you were. And she's like, no, I was in Spider-Man. They're like, no, you were also in Avengers. And she's like, what? That's crazy. So sometimes I'll run into other castmates on a different vertical or a different director or a production assistant. And they'll be like, oh my God, we worked on my CEO baby daddy werewolf alpha male steals my Luna's baby together a year ago. And I was like, we did? I was in that. Who did I play? So it gets a little jumbled after a few
Yeah.
of them,
Yeah.
especially 100.
So a lot of vertical dramas rely on strong chemistry and very clear. character dynamics straight away. What helps you lock into those relationships so quickly as a performer?
I think at this point, I've worked with so many of the actors that we already have a friendship. So it's easy to have that as like a jumping off point because we already know each other. We know that we know the situation is crazy. We've worked on these for years now. So there's already kind of like that chemistry that we've built over the past 3 years. And I mean, obviously, everybody has their favorite co stars that they love working with. So whenever I run into, especially the women, whenever I run into some of these girls, I'm like, yes, this is gonna be a fun one. I didn't know that you were on this, and they're like, I didn't know you were on this. I just got cast. They're like, I got cast 20 minutes ago. So it's that is a good jumping off point. But also bringing in uh, your personal relationships from your real life into the character's work also helps. So a
Yeah.
lot of substitution work. Um, like if I have to be really mean to a girl I really like, I just think about a girl I really don't like.
What have you learned about building a performance when you have to grab that audience in seconds? Because most clips on verticals are seconds. They are not, sometimes they are a minute, but sometimes they are just maybe 30 seconds, 40 seconds. How have you learned that?
I think the major difference between verticals and let's say like theatrical work or stage work is that you don't play the subtext, which is difficult as an actor because you want to like dig deep and like, don't show the tears, show the fighting back and the cover and the facade, but that doesn't exist in vertical world. You've got to play what's on the page.
Yeah.
So if it says you're angry, then you better be fuming angry, not just like trying to cover that you're angry. Like um there's no hiding emotions on verticals. You have to be able to show it. You have to be able to go there quickly. And as insane as it may be, you have to go from being really, really angry to being really hurt and crying to really happy that you just inherited $1 billion to, oh my God, your sister stole it from you. And now you're going to stop her. So the main thing I've learned is not to cover any emotions that come up. Just fully commit, fully go
Yeah.
there and give the people what they want.
Why do you think? Because vertical dramas are growing and growing every day or every week. You're seeing a new vertical. You're seeing new people come out of like into our national like places where we can see them and speak to them and watch them where we've never known before. We've never known them before
Mm-hmm.
until verticals. What do you think is connecting so strongly with audiences? I think it's because we're always on our phones, but
Mm-hmm.
also viewing habits are changing as well.
Yeah, I think there's something to be said about the instant gratification of a vertical. Like we live such fast-paced lives, and there's so much going on in the world. There's a little bit of escapism and fantasy to them, where you can dive into this billionaire family, and most of the time they are completely dysfunctional. So it's also kind of nice to see billionaires on your phone getting slapped and like going through tough times. And so it's a nice disconnect from your everyday life. Um, and it's a quick escape because we don't have a lot of time nowadays to go to the movies and sit through a 3 hour film because they've just gotten longer
Yeah.
and longer, and people don't have time for that anymore. Like I know people that work 2, 3 jobs just to get by because the economy's insane right now. So these are providing a quick little escape
Yeah.
with very quick storylines. They have a beginning, they have an end. You get that gratification of a quick story, and then you go back to work.
So, from your point of view, what do you first like? We've talked about what's connecting with the audience, but what are vertical dramas getting right now? Because, in my opinion, I think, especially boy love verticals, they're getting stories correct. They're getting
Mhm.
stuff about the queer community correct, where some shows I've seen in the past don't get it correct.
Yeah. What I will say, I will give the verticals their props on the LGBTQ storylines because I have not seen any that end tragically. They're all about love. They're romantic. They're precious almost. Like we root for these characters to be together. There's no real um, consequences to their actions. I mean, there's some bullying, there's some, but there's that exists in the straight verticals as well.
Yeah.
Not like out of character to be like, oh, we're gonna bully this character just because he's queer. No, because the girls get bullied too. Everyone gets bullied on verticals. It's just a thing. It's just a thing.
Yes.
Um, but they're getting the queer storylines right, in my opinion, because they're treating them like every other individual. Like they're giving these characters a chance at love. They're giving them
Yeah.
redemption stories. They're elevating what queer lives could be, and they're pretty attractive,
Yes.
which
Very
doesn't
true.
hurt.
Very true. What do you think they are? Where do you think the format has room to grow?
The misogynistic content. I think we've seen enough women get slapped around. I'm worried that it's glamorizing domestic violence um, because these lead characters that are doing the slapping don't really have a lot of consequences
Hmm.
for it. Sometimes they're promoted for slapping a woman, or they inherit a bunch of money, or it's just I think we've seen enough violence against women, not I mean, not just in verticals, in real life too. And I would like to see less of that and see more female empowerment stories. Um, can we have a woman that does the slapping back, or like some kick-ass martial arts or something? Like
Yeah.
I don't think we need to see more violence. And I know that's something I've seen it online a lot, where there's a lot of backlash against the female violence on these, but there hasn't been much change yet. It's coming. There's a lot of vertical
Yeah.
productions out there that are doing really good work. Specifically, there's a female queer-led one called HereTV who's doing amazing, like quality vertical work. So it's coming.
What is your take on the whole AI argument
Oh
with
God,
verticals?
they're so bad. They're so bad. Have you seen these?
I've
They're
seen like I've never watched like I haven't watched the full one. I'll never watch a full one because I think I get the connection with the character if they are human acting. But I've
yes,
seen clips on Instagram because Instagram's always pushing.
trying to do.
Yeah,
Yeah, I hit the like three little buttons, and I'm like, not interested. Not interested on the.
yeah, yeah,
They're pretty, and I know AI has made advancements, and it kind of looks somewhat real, but you can always tell it's not.
yeah.
Um, it's really bad. I don't want there to be a place for it, but I know it's inevitable. Um, can they just have their own little like niche over there in the corner and be like, if you want AI options, press this button so that the rest of us don't have to be inundated with it? Because I didn't opt in for that. I also saw one, it was like a queer boy love AI vertical where they were brothers
I think so.
and they
Yeah,
were it was pretty explicit. It was
yes,
almost softcore porn, but teetering the edge of hardcore because you with AI, you can make these bodies do anything. So you don't have to like work around an actor's comfort level or,
mm.
have an intimacy coordinator. You can just make them do whatever you want. And it's kind of crossing a line, in my opinion.
I think
It's not even hot.
AI. I think AI is good at like points, but when it's like I've always said this, when it's taking jobs from actors like yourself, musicians, or like people in the public eye, I just think leave them alone because they've put the work in. Yes, you've put
Yeah.
the work in, you've put the work into AI, but these have worked longer than you've put work into AI.
Yeah. Also, meet entertainment is supposed to be about human connection.
Yeah,
So if if you want to go and watch AI, fine, go for it, but don't shove it down everybody else's throats. Also, could we have AI do other things like cure cancer instead of make art? Like, who asked for AI entertainment media? I would like AI to be put to other uses that could benefit society as a whole, like
Yeah,
fix the economy, for cure diseases, do important work. Like
definitely.
not that art isn't important work, but it's important human work.
Yes.
I think AI can replicate wants, desires, emotions. Like that comes from a very deep, real, vulnerable place. And AI is a computer.
But I think sometimes if AI carries on, I think we're going to lose our creativity because people are just going
Yeah.
to type something in and they're just going to get a script written
Yeah.
or something like that.
And that takes away so much of the art form, because part of what makes art is the struggle to create it, like having to face your inner demons, taking a better look at yourself in the mirror, or analyzing what's happening in society as a whole. Like that births great artists and great art. And if you take away that struggle, you're kind of just like run of the mill, like, all right, let's go get a burger at McDonald's instead of making it from scratch.
Yeah. So we'll move away from AI now. um, how much of your own life experience finds its way into the characters you play?
Oh, so much, so much. Um, I draw from my personal life for almost every character, I would say, just because that makes it a little bit more real and grounded. It's coming from something truthful.
Yeah.
Um, Even if the character is bonkers, off the wall, slap crazy, or, an asshole, for lack of a better word. I've had those moments. I've been that. We all have. So there's something very real to draw from, and it just makes the character fully well-rounded, a whole human being. So I think it's very important to draw from your own personal life with boundaries, of course, whatever makes you comfortable. Um, but I draw from my personal life quite a bit. My personal life is almost a vertical, except I'm
um,
not a billionaire, nor am I dating one. I'm doing something wrong, clearly.
is there a performance of yours that you feel audiences understood in a deeper way than you expected? There's a lot to choose from, I'm sure, but
That's a good question. Um, I would say if anybody's seen Cutaways, it's a film I did on Amazon Prime. I believe it's also on Roku and Apple TV and Tubi, or something like that. Um, I think people took a lot more from that performance, because that character was so layered and it went through so many emotions and was so devious, but also so innocent at the same time. That people were like, or at least when the people that have watched it that have approached me have been like, that must have been crazy to work on, because the character is a little crazy. Um, and at the time, I didn't think it was that deep, to be honest. But I'm glad people thought so.
what is the thing that keeps you grounded in this industry?
Um, my family. My family is always a source of reality that I tap into,
Yeah.
that kind of like pull me away from this weird, ethereal kind of like, is my career even happening? Existential crisis kind of thing. And my family is actually one that can hold this mirror up to my face and be like, you have been putting in the work. Like there is something there. Like take a step back, look at your accomplishments. Because some as actors, we get lost in the whole, where's my next job coming from? Am I choosing the right films to work on, the right projects? Do I have something lined up? What else is coming? What else is coming? And my family's like, take a step back and see, instead of what else is coming, look at everything you've done,
Yeah.
which is kind of crazy. My mom actually was Googling me, as moms do. Sorry for everything you found, mom. Uh, she was Googling me and was like, I don't know if you realize this, but your IMDb has about 125 uh, credits on it. I was like, wait, I hadn't checked that in a while. How did that even happen? And not all the verticals are on there. So it's just the projects that have created an IMDb page, because there's a lot of short films and stuff that don't do that, because it's a whole tedious process. Also, you have to,
Yeah.
you know, your own page, create an account, list everybody, put up a poster, budgets, all of that. So not every project does that. So my family does a very good job of reeling me back in when I'm kind of spiraling, and making me, like, forcing me to take a look at my career and what I've done and been like, you should be proud of that.
So when you started out, I always believe you need resilience in especially acting and music and stuff like that. You need resilience. Do you think that's an inbuilt thing, or do you think you have to learn that throughout going through different projects?
You definitely have to learn it. You definitely have to learn it. Because I used to think of myself as a resilient person before I
Yeah.
moved out here, but the ridiculousness that you're met with in this industry really tests that the patience and resilience that you are innately born with, because some people are pretty resilient on their own naturally.
Yeah.
But this industry will test that and make you jump through hoops, and it's something you learn to deal with, and I'm still learning to deal with, because there's, even with the experience I have, there are some projects that you work on with people that are less experienced, or people that have a different personality type than you do, and learning to navigate those, I guess, that maze of how to work with people that you don't necessarily get along with in real life, is part of the learning curve. And it never goes away, because every time I think, all right, I've seen it all, someone comes up and surprises me, and I'm like, huh, well, that did not expect that one, but I can adjust.
Yeah.
We can do this.
So when you've been on sets, have you had people come up to you saying you need to hold back some stuff that you do ever?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I've had both. You need to hold back and give more, which is part of being an actor. I mean, that's a good director knows how to communicate that with an actor and be like, "Oh, I need you to do less of this, because that's you know, Jason's coming through and not the character Winston or Chase
Yeah.
or whoever you're playing." Um, they need to shine a little bit more. So can you hold back on, like, this mannerism, or you're saying, oh, the 99th vertical I worked on was with a director I love called Sarang Sharma. And there was a word I was saying wrong the entire time. And he's like, can you say that again? And I repeated it. And he's like, yeah, so that's not how you pronounce the word. I was kind of embarrassed. But yeah, I've encountered that quite often. That, you know, give less of this, give more of that, especially on verticals. And I get hired to play, like, the campy assistant a lot, or the gay best friend, or you know, the evil uh, villain. So they always want more. There was actually this one vertical I worked on where the producer was kind of tiptoeing. She's like, "So we picture this character to be loud and, like, colorful," and I was like, "Do you mean gay? Do you just want more gay?" And she's like, "No, no, no, that's not what I meant." And I was like, "You can say more gay if that's what you want, and it'll get us there quicker." He was like, "Okay, yeah, more gay." I was like, "Got it. We're there. Let's, you know, as long as they're direct, we can get there very quickly." But the tiptoeing is kind of comical. They don't want to be insulting, of course.
Yeah. So what is next for you?
So I'm currently working on developing two series, actually, with the creator of Laid Bear, Tim O'Leary, who's wonderful. Um, he just sold a show to OutTv called Love at First Stab, which I'm really excited about. That's all I can say about it at the moment. And then we're working on developing another show called Male Model Murders, which doesn't have a home yet, and it's a working title, but I kind of love it, and I hope we stick with it. Also queer driven. It's a murder mystery, so I'm really excited about those two projects. And then I'm sure vertical number 101 will pop up probably the night before because I did eight self tapes for different verticals yesterday, six the day before. There's so many, and they're always constantly casting. So definitely verticals in the future. Those two projects I'm really excited about because they're queer driven and they're thrillers, which is not something I am known for, but I am trying to delve into a little bit more because I would love to play like a sociopathic serial killer. And my character may or may not be a sociopathic serial killer in one of those two shows.
So we are in Pride Month, of course.
Yes.
What would you say to younger queer performers who are still trying to find their way, find where they fit in the industry?
I would say don't listen to anybody that's telling you not to be yourself. Mainly because, speaking from experience, my first agent, I don't know if this came up when you were doing your deep dive. My first agent, when I moved out here in Los Angeles, it kind of stung a little bit. She was like, "You'll never work because your voice is too gay and it's not marketable." And I was like, and it stung, but did not, I chose not to take it as a professional assault. You know what I mean? And more as like
Yeah.
she's going through her own things. I don't know what's going on there, but we're not going to work together anymore because it's not a match. If you don't believe in
Yeah.
my career or my abilities, then it's not a match, and that's perfectly fine. Everyone does not have to believe in you. You just need a few core group of people that do, and you'll be fine. Um, so don't let if someone says something sideways like that to you, don't let that affect you. There is someone out there that will believe in you and your talents. You just got to find them and don't give up. But also, if you can see yourself doing literally anything else, go do that because it's tough work. It's tough work.
And
But
believe
be
in
proud of who you
yourself.
are. Believe in yourself, uplift your community, um, help the people around you as much as you can. Not just because, it's the right thing to do or you're a good person, but also you never know where their next job is going to land them. And if you vibe with them, they'll bring you along too. So there's a lot of the times in Los Angeles, we get caught up in this whole competition mentality.
Yeah.
Um, and it's something I've dealt with very recently, with a friend. It's not a competition. There's space for everybody, and you putting me down or me putting you down in a certain way is not going to enhance your chances at getting a job. It's just not.
Yeah.
You're either right for the part or you're not. The other person has nothing to do with why you did or didn't get booked.
Okay, so we are on to the two parts that every guest takes part in. The first one is, who are your visions? So I will ask you, who is your vision of TV? So that can be a TV show or a TV actor or actress that inspires you or you enjoy.
I really love the show How I Met Your Mother and Shameless. So I know they're diametrically opposed,
Yes, they are.
but so I've always wanted to be on a sitcom. So obviously Neil Patrick Harris is a TV legend and an icon and such a
Yeah.
great representation for the community. So when it comes to like the comedy side, that's like my visionary. And then when it comes to the drama side, Shameless is just such a crazy show that I would love to work on something like that. And of course, Cameron Monaghan's great to look at and such a great representation for the community in that show
Yeah.
also. Both of those actors do not play into the stereotype of who a queer person is. They just are those characters. And Neil Patrick Harris doesn't play a queer person in How I Met Your Mother, but the way he lives his life is very authentic and truthful. So that's why he's one of my visions. And Cameron Monaghan isn't queer in real life, but plays a queer character and doesn't play into the
Yeah.
stereotype. I also respect.
It's the same for visions of movies. So a movie or movie actor, actress that inspires you or you enjoy.
Johnny Depp, hands down.
Okay.
He is so transformational, and his characters are so nuanced and campy. I feel like I've used that word 25,000 times in this interview already. But the way he approaches character work with like the mannerisms, the affectations, the voice afflictions, it's also nuanced and different for and tailored for each role that he plays, that I would aspire to have a career like that man.
I think my favorite character of his is Jack Sparrow. Pirates of the Caribbean. Him in Pirates of the
Yes.
Caribbean, I just think is just as a character, he's brilliant at it.
Yes. Yes. Why is all the rum gone? I quote that all the time.
Visions of music. A music artist or artist that is constantly on repeat.
Uh, Demi Lovato,
Yes,
for
love
sure.
her.
She is so raw. Um, I cry every time I hear her, except for her new album because it's a bop. There's no like tear jerkers. But Demi Lovato is such a truthful musician, and she doesn't shy away from including her personal life in her music and
Yeah.
her artistry, which I really appreciate. And Miley Cyrus is one that I think has not gotten enough flowers. No pun intended.
You're speaking my language at those two artists because I adore both of them.
They're fantastic. They're just so honest with their songwriting and their music. Um, and of course, they have a few, pop hits that are bangers and, light and superficial, but their really deep work is so emotional that I don't know if I could do that as an
I
artist.
think Demi Lovato's documentary as well was just
Yeah.
perfect, talking about child acting and stuff like that. I just thought that was just on
Yeah.
point.
And she doesn't shy away from the truth and like actually telling you what really happened. She takes accountability for her actions and her mistakes, but also shows us the darker side of what happens in the industry to children.
Yeah. Right, so vertical vision. Now, usually I only ask them to give me a word or phrase for each of the verticals they've been in.
Okay.
But you've been in 100.
Yes.
So for you, I've said describe your time in vertical dramas with either a phrase or one word.
What is happening?
That's a great phrase, to be honest.
The amount of times I've shown up on set uh, without a single clue of the storyline, baffling. Uh, Mainly because I do a lot of supporting characters and day players. So sometimes we don't even get the full script. Sometimes we just show
Yeah.
up and all of a sudden I'm on a vertical for 2 days and it's a banquet scene and a woman's showing up claiming to be the lost heiress, and then a man shows up and it's her stepbrother, and then the dad shows up and it's like, you were adopted, and I'm like, what? And then they're like, Jason, that's your line, and I was like, I'm sorry, I'm still processing what's happening. I have what? It's what is happening is a good
A great
summation.
phrase. Great phrase. Um,
Yeah.
the Visions Book Club, an author or book you love.
Ooh. Is it cliche to say Rachel Reed right now because of heated rivalry?
Well, he's
Is that
just
cliche?
amazing, isn't he?
I mean, that's definitely obviously on my mind right now. But I grew up reading a lot of oh my God, the murder mystery novelist, James Patterson. Um, I've read so many of his books, and then was so disappointed to find out that most of them are ghostwritten. It's like, oh no, it's not even him. He's just selling his name and slapping it on books. But he is the original favorite author before I was lied to.
And now Rachel Reed is right up there.
She's right up there. Please don't slap your name on other people's work, Rachel.
So you are from a theatre background, so I always say visions of theatre, a theatre show or theatre actress or actor you love.
Idina Menzel
Oh,
is an icon, and of course Kristen Chenoweth, because you can't mention one without the other. They're icons. Um, Show, I would have to say, The Glass Menagerie was always my favorite play, just because it really hits home for a number of reasons.
yeah,
Plus Tennessee Williams, he's
yeah,
also a queer icon, but such a great dramatic writer and really understood human relationships and the layers that go into who people are and how they deal with each other. Um, so I would say Idina Menzel and Kristen Chenoweth for actors, Tennessee Williams as a playwright, and The Glass Menagerie as like my top favorite play.
nice one. So our final thing is this or that. So I'll give you
Okay.
two options. You choose which one best describes you. If you want to say both, say both.
Okay. Best describes me. Got it.
Okay, pop music or rock music?
Pop music.
Okay, HBO Max or Hulu?
HBO Max.
Comedy or drama?
Comedy.
Reality TV or scripted TV?
Scripted. 100%.
uh, Board games or video games?
Ooh, board games.
Sunrise or sunset?
Sunset.
Time with friends or time alone?
Oh, Lord. Oh, Lord. Uh, Both, depending on my mood.
Okay, phone call or text?
Text. Who's calling? Who's calling? Don't do that. Unless you're my mom.
Yeah.
Definitely text.
Instagram or TikTok?
Instagram.
Game night or movie night?
Game night.
And finally, road trip or direct flight?
Oh, direct flight. I My back cannot sustain a road trip anymore. Maybe when I was a teenager, but now just get me there so I can get to
Yeah.
the beach with my little martini as soon as possible. I, I don't want to spend too much time. Although I did road trip through Italy last year, and that was kind of fun. I went on a whole backpacking trip through Europe for a month last year, and part of it was we rented a car and road tripped through Italy. But that was different. I was in
Yeah.
Europe. I was in a different country. Nobody wants to drive to the United States, especially right now.
Mm. um, Thank you so much, Jason, for joining today. Hope you've enjoyed it as much as I've enjoyed it. You've been amazing.
Thank you so much for having me. I had a blast.
Thank you very much, Jason. And yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much. This was so much fun. I know I ramble, so I hope you got everything you needed.